Right. So we need to continue with our studies in research methods, and our area of interest is the types of research. So we need to have this conversation where we are going through the different types of research available to the researchers. Yeah, so we have got various types of research that start from descriptive research, analytical, applied, fundamental research, exploratory research, empirical, conceptual, explanatory research. Yeah. So we will have to look at these different types of of research. So this is extremely important, and you do well to pay attention and hear about these different types of research. Let's start from descriptive research. What is it all about? Descriptive research includes surveys and fact finding inquiries of different kinds. The major purpose of descriptive research is description of the state of affairs as it exists at present. So you want to describe the state of affairs just as it is at present. Okay. So the main characteristic of this method is that the researcher has no control over the variables and he can only report what has happened or what is happening. You don't manipulate the variables at this stage. What happens here, you just tell us exactly what happens. For example, you want to find out, about what is happening or what happened somewhere, you know, just want to really know what is happening or what happened somewhere. So what you do is that you do well to pay attention. Okay, you do well to pay particular attention, and as you pay particular attention, you find that as you are researching, you will be required to tell us exactly what happened. No adding, no subtracting. This is the first example of a type of research. It is called the descriptive research, where you are describing the events or the state of affairs. Now, methods of research utilized in descriptive research are usually survey methods of all kinds, you know, uh, that would include comparative, correlational methods. You conduct surveys, right? You survey to just see how things are. And then you come back and report exactly according to your survey. The major objective of descriptive research is to portray an accurate profile of persons or of events or of situations. So this is what you do. You have to show us a very, very accurate profile of persons, of events or of situations. Yeah, this is according to the writings of Robinson in 2002. This is what he's saying. In research, in the descriptive research, you're not there to add or subtract or write things the way how you want. But here you are just there to show us the clear and accurate picture of the persons in question, the phenomenon in question, and the situations in question. So descriptive studies are primarily concerned with finding out what is, those are the questions. What is, it is the subject of research, even without covering why it happened like that. It is not concerned about why it happened like that. So usually it is they generate the hypothesis and they do answer the questions of what, who, where, how, and when. So you're answering questions. What is it? What happened? Who are the people that were involved, for example? Where was this event happening from? How did it actually happen? When did it happen? Like you are telling us exactly, that's what descriptive research is all about. The other type of research is called analytical research. Analytical research. Now, with analytical research, the researcher uses facts or information already available and usually analyze these to make a critical evaluation of the material. So you are to use the facts, you are to use the information that is already there. Okay. You know, most of these analytic studies, they usually study, the tests of hypotheses, and they usually answer the questions pertaining to why and how. This is where you start. Unlike in descriptive research, remember in descriptive research, we don't answer the questions pertaining to why, how, but here we are questioning why, how. Okay, this is what we are doing when we are analyzing in analytical research. The other type of research is called apply or action research. You know, applied research, it aims at finding a solution for an immediate problem facing a society or an industry or a business or an organization. There is an immediate problem that our business, for example, since you're doing business, you're studying businesses, you see, there is this immediate problem that is being faced by the business. For example, the sales have gone down, right? Maybe the brand awareness is going down or like it's not increasing. What is going on? The turnover goes down. You see, because of that, you need to find out. Okay. So you research to identify the social, economic, political trends that may affect a particular institution, or the copy research. Okay. Yeah. This is what happens. You're finding out the social, economic, or political trends. Okay. What are some of the social trends that may affect this problem? What are some of the economic problems? What are some of the political trends? Okay. Yeah, that may affect our business. So this is what you do. So, for example, the marketing research or evaluation research are examples of applied research. When you're doing marketing research, finding out, you are getting an immediate problem that is being faced by the institution or the business at that point. Then you conduct some evaluation about something. These are examples of applied research. You are applying the research. Okay, this is very, very important. So I actually would to add that the central aim of applied research is to discover a solution for some pressing practical problem. Yeah. Fundamental research. Now, fundamental research is also called basic or pure research. Okay, this is another type of research. Fundamental research is mainly concerned with generalization and with the formulation of a theory. This is the research that is, concerned with that, the generalization or with the formulation of a theory. So research studies here concerning human behavior carried on with a view to make generalization about human behavior are examples of fundamental research. Those studies, you carry them, you want to study the human behavior, okay? So that you can make some generalization about human behaviors. Those are proper examples of fundamental research. So in fundamental research, in pure or basic research, you are mainly, generalizing, okay, and there to formulate some theories. When you look at basic research, is directed towards finding information that has broad base of application. And for that, it adds to the already existing organized body of scientific knowledge. This is basic research. It is directed towards finding information that has a broad base of what? Applications. You're finding out some information that has a very broad base of applications. So for that reason, what you'll be doing here is to just add, already existing to the already existing organized body of scientific knowledge. You're adding some more information. That's basic research. The other type of research is what is known as quantitative research. Quantitative research. Now, with the quantitative research, this one is based on the measurement of quantity or amounts, the units. So here you are measuring quantities or amounts. So it is events that can be expressed in terms of quantity. This is what you do. For example, you want to measure inflation rate. That is an event, but you can at least express it in amounts, in numbers, in quantities. So it is a method of research that does depend on measuring variables using a numeric system. You analyze these measurements using any of a variety of statistical models that are usually there. We have a lot of statistical models that we use, and the statistical packages that are there, softwares that you can use, okay? Now, and you report these relationships and associations among the studied variables. So you analyze. So you see, there are a lot of statistical packages that you can use to analyze these relationships among the variables in what is quantitative research. One of them would include an example of, one of them would include an example of Stata, if you have heard of Stata, right? We have the statistical packaging for social sciences, that is SPSS. You have heard of eViews, right? These are some of the packages that you use. You have heard of R, okay? You can even use a little bit of programming to do research or analysis. This is very important. So here you're just dealing with the quantities and numerics. But you see, when you look at qualitative, on the other hand, qualitative research is concerned with the qualitative phenomenon. Those events relating to or involving quality or kind. Those that just involve quality, that involve the kind. For example, when we are interested in investigating the reasons for human behavior, for example, we want to say why people think or do certain things like that. So we, often times, talk of motivational research, even as an example or as an important type of qualitative research. Motivational research. We want to study why people are behaving the way how they are behaving. You see, this is some quality or some kind. We want to study, the event that is qualitative. Yeah. With qualitative research, this one is especially important in the behavioral sciences, where the aim is to discover the underlying motives of human behavior. And I should be quick to do the indication that most of the social sciences that you're dealing with qualitative research. Most of the studies that are done around business usually deal with qualitative research. You're dealing with the human behavior. For example, in marketing, as you're marketing and you're researching in the market, you're dealing with the human behavior. You want to analyze why people behave that way, okay? So most of social sciences, they usually do qualitative research. Conceptual research. What about conceptual research? This one is related to some abstract ideas or theories. So it is generally used by philosophers, those great thinkers who want to develop new concepts or to reinterpret existing concepts. So those great philosophers, those great thinkers that want to develop maybe some new concepts, or they sometimes maybe want to redo the existing concepts and really restart them, reinterpret them, then you do what is known as conceptual research. That is called conceptual research. It is extremely important that you go on and understand this type of research as well. The other type of research that we do is what is known as empirical research. Now, you see, empirical research relies on experience or observation alone, often without due regard to system or theory. So it is data-based research, coming up with conclusions which are capable of being verified by observation or some experiment. This is what you do in empirical research. You see, you are doing these studies made by experience or by some observations. So you go and you make some observation, you observe. And usually if people want to test your research, they can verify this again by observing those phenomena and experiment afterwards. So this is the empirical research. So in most of such research, the researcher must first provide himself with a working hypothesis or a guess as to the probable results. So that she can then work to get enough facts to prove or to disprove the hypothesis. So you make some assumption that things are like this, right? Let's say we want to observe that from observation, whenever you board a bus, you be on a bus to travel to a certain place. It has been said that most of the people, over 50% of the people, they buy bananas along the way, right? So we want to study whether this is true. And we'll do some samples. We'll do some observation. You go on the same bus, study how many people are going to do that. So now, the first thing that we assume, or the hypothesis that we said, is that people buy the what? People buy along the way. 50% of people buy the bananas along the way. And then we need, that's a now hypothesis, an alternative hypothesis that these people, less than or more than such a percentage of people buy bananas. Then when you start observing, you will start observing to see whether that is very true that such a percentage of people do that. Then you can either reject the null hypothesis or not. So this is what usually happens under empirical research. Okay? That is what usually happens under empirical research. There's also what we call, explanatory research. With explanatory research, it is actually also called the causal research. This one, it is conducted for a problem which was not well researched before. It demands priorities, generates operational definitions, and it does provide a better research model afterwards. So it does use sources, secondary sources, such as published sources, such as published literature and data. So you're dealing with the already existing data. The data that you're dealing with most of the times here is not primary data, but you're dealing with some secondary data. It allows the research to test It allows you as a researcher to test very specific theories and make some amends, some changes to previous theories. For that reason, it answers the questions pertaining to why some things are like that. So you are answering the why questions most of the times when you're conducting some explanatory research. This is another type of research, or this is the other type of research. You see, when you look at exploratory research, it is a research that is used to investigate a problem which is not clearly defined. So it is conducted to have a better understanding of the existing problem, but will not, it will not really provide some problem conclusive results sometimes. So an important aspect here is that the research should be willing to change his or her direction subject to the divergence or revelation of new data or some insight. So it does address all types of questions, such as what, why, how, when. That's exploratory research. You are exploring. So more like the research was already conducted some time back, but it was not just properly done, or it did not reveal some key variables, some key aspects. And so this time around, you're interested in looking for revelation of the same, and this is what usually happens. So basically, these are some of the types of research that I have presented to you. Okay, these are the different types of research that I have presented to you. Now let's look at the approaches, the research approaches. When you're researching, there are actually three major approaches that one can use to research. The first one is called quantitative research, right? The first one is called what? Quantitative research. The second one is called the qualitative research. And the last one is the mixture of the two, which is called the mixed method approach. The first one is quantitative research approach. The second one is qualitative approach. This one is qualitative. It's called a qualitative approach. Then, the other one is the mixture of the two. Okay. Now, when you look at, I would say, these approaches, you see that in research, it involves the generalization of data in quantitative form, which can be subjected to rigorous quantitative analysis in a formal or rigid fashion. This quantitative approach. Now, the approach can further be classified into inferential, experimental, or simulation approaches to research. So the purpose of this inferential approach is to research. So actually the research is there to form a database from which to anchor, and draw the conclusion or the conclusive characteristics or relationships of the population. This usually means that survey research where a sample of population is studied, okay, is used to determine the characteristics of the population. Then the experimental approach is characterized by much greater control over the research environment. And in this case, some variables are manipulated to observe their effect on the other. That's experimental research. Manipulate some variables so that you can observe their impact on the other variables. With the simulation research, it involves the construction of an artificial environment within which relevant information and data can actually be generated. That is about quantitative research. What about qualitative research? With the qualitative research, qualitative approach to research is concerned with the subjective assessment of attitudes, opinions, and behavior. Such an approach to research, it does generate results either in non-quantitative form or in form which are not subjected to rigorous quantitative analysis. So the techniques of focus, group interviews here, you can get some focus group interviews and you project and do the studies. What research does actually, is that it inculcates scientific and inductive thinking. It promotes the development of logical habits of thinking and organization. And the role of research in several fields of applied economics, whether related to business or to the economy as a whole, has greatly increased in modern times. You see, there is a lot of significance to research. Research is equally important for social scientists in studying social relationships and he is seeking answers to various social problems. For example, let's look at the example of those people that want to do right. Those that want to study, the masters. To those students who are to write a master's or maybe a PhD thesis, research may mean, a careerism or a way to attain a high position in social structure. Then to professionals in research methodology, research may mean a source of livelihood. Then to the philosophers and thinkers, research may mean the outlet for new ideas and insights. So to literary men and women, research may actually mean the development of new styles and creative work as well. And then to the analysts and the intellectuals, research may mean the generalization of new theories. So this is the significance of research. Now, it's very important that as we conclude the piece of study, we look at the aspect of research methods and methodology. And actually, you should be able to tell the differences between the two, the difference between research methods and research methodology. You see, research methods may be understood as all those methods or say techniques that are used for conduction of research. Those are research methods, right? All of those methods, all of the should take techniques, right, that are used for conduction of research. They are called research methods. But research methodology is a way to systematically solve the research problem. That is research methodology. So it may be understood as a science of studying how research is done scientifically. And it is important, I emphasize, for you to know the difference between research methods and research methodology. You see, research methods can be put into the following three groups. There are those which are concerned with the collection of data, those statistical techniques which are used for establishing relationship between data and the unknowns. Then we also have those methods which are used to evaluate the accuracy of the results obtained. What about methodology? You see, with this one, we answer questions that hinges around why a research study has been undertaken, how the research problem has been defined, what, why, and why the hypothesis has been formulated. what data has been collected, what particular method has been adopted, and why particular technique of analyzing data has been used. So these are some of the key concepts that you have to learn. So it is extremely important, and I do emphasize that you understand the difference between research methods and research methodology. Yeah. So I don't know if you have any questions. Then we can end here.